What was the idea behind the PLI for ACC and entire process, how it got formulated?
It's very tough to bring something very new about which nobody is aware in government or even in industry. How we should make it technology agnostic and usage agnostic. Those were the biggest challenges.
Why technology agnostic and why usage agnostic?
You don't know what type of adoption is going to happen. The usage, utilization, as well as the requirement of every segment is different.
At cell level, what is the current level of localization in India, whether it is 10%, 20%, 30%, and if you can break down this for all key components?
When it comes to the anode, we have at least 3 companies who are right now, out of 3, in fact 2 I know they are being validated also. Separator is something which actually has been localized.
Does cell localization in India is going to give cost advantage?
When you start something, the fixed cost is there, and you have a neighbor,
Right.
fixed cost is all done, full depreciated. Now they have only the per unit production cost. They need the support. Not a single policy is there for the battery recycling. Not a single policy. Battery waste management are the rules, which actually makes it tough.
What was the overall objective of AIS 156, the battery swapping policy? Because still there is one question which everyone asks. Battery swapping policy was put in the public domain as a draft. Never came out as the final notification. Where it got struck, and is this going to come anytime soon? Welcome to today's podcast, wherein we are going to delve into India's clean mobility transformation. Today, my guest is Mr. Randheer Singh, who is the CEO and co-founder of Forsee Advisors, formerly working as Director Transport at Niti Aayog. Mr. Singh has been one of the key person who has worked on several policy implementations in India, including PLI for ACC, FAME2 advisory, several committees around the policy making, including AIS 156, AIS 038, as well as huge contribution in terms of creating and bringing battery swapping policy draft in India. We are definitely going to have a lot of conversation and learning opportunity during this podcast. Welcome, Mr. Singh, and thank you very much for joining the show.
Thanks, Pritesh. Thanks for having me here. It is indeed a pleasure talking to you again.
Thank you very much. So, today in this podcast, what we are going to do, because you have a lot of experience around policy making, right? And whether it is corporates or the students or the companies very active in this domain, I think definitely needs a lot of clarity about the policy making itself, so that they are able to somehow understand the nitty-gritties about the policy making as well as taking the benefit out of it. So that is the background of the discussion which I wanted to have with you today. And as I mentioned, right, you have been instrumental in making the policies, PLI for ACC, contribution even in the PLI for auto components, battery safety, electric vehicle safety, AIS 156-038, as well as the battery swapping policy. So my first question to you, if you can just talk about your experience of policy making, because generally it is understood that, it's very quick and sometimes it's not as per what, people want. There are so many feedback from the industry, etc. So I just wanted to understand first the policy making mechanism, and if you can define some of the tools of the policy making as well.
So Pritesh, first of all, thank you. And definitely, I think a lot of things goes when we talk about the policy making in itself. It's a highly technical, structured, data driven, as well as consensus based mechanism. Now, how it actually works? So, in our country and similarly in other countries also, there is 1 or 2 organizations who are, at the helm of the affairs, who actually works forward-looking for the forward-looking policies. So we have, first let's talk about the structure at the central level. At the central level, the structure is Niti Aayog is there, several ministries are there, then we have the departments also. In fact, the Ministry of Heavy Industries was earlier Department of Heavy Industries, and it got upgraded with the cabinet minister. So this is one, the structure wherein Niti Aayog not only works on the framing of the current policy, stakeholder consultations, bringing on the consensus, putting the data. Uh, Basically, the data approach is something which Niti Aayog brings in.
Okay.
And you must understand that it is coming from what background. It was the
Right,
planning
planning
commission, wherein
commission.
for 5-year planning you need to have a lot of data.
Data.
Granularity of the data is actually very high, and that way, in fact, we were fortunate enough that the availability of that data, availability of the resources is like enormous. We can access to any data, whether it's public, private, or with, of course, with the consensus. And some of the data is already available with the government. In fact, government has access to most of the data which can be accessed, which can be used for the benefit of the people.
Right.
And that is how we use it. So now, if I just find out the structure perspective, so Niti Aayog works on the policy level, while the implementation happens at the ministries level. So let's talk about, I'll just figure out one policy or the two policy, or let's say one topic or another topic.
Right.
So let's talk about one topic, advanced chemistry cell program.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfect example.
So ministries, by the way, ministries also have the PSUs under them, most of the ministries. So they are mainly engulfed in the day-to-day affairs, in doing the implementation of the existing policies, existing schemes, and it is lot of work. It is lot of work. In addition to this, whenever there is a parliament session, all the parliament questions and all those things, day in, day out. So ministries are extremely busy on a day in, day out sort of thing. The way the collector is extremely busy in the day in, day out things. We always think about why the collector is not, or the district magistrate is not implementing the newer things. He hardly gets time to actually, and if you just spend one day with a DM of any of the
district.
Any of the district, you will figure out, because in the aspirational districts program, we have seen it very closely. I visited Kalahandi. We'll talk about it later during the podcast. But the process wise, Niti Aayog works and it finds with the industry, not only in India, but the globally also. We talk with different people, looking at what next for this country, what we have to do to bring forth not only our industry, but also how our government is going to plan their investments in future, planned, unplanned, both investments and all. So the first part is looking at the data. Data is coming not from our country alone, but also globally.
Okay.
Second, working with the think tanks, working with different ministries, working with different governments, taking their feedbacks. What is happening, what type of feedbacks they are getting. As I said, that ministries work very closely with the PSUs. They get a lot of feedback from there, which directly might not come to us. So that is where we coordinate with the ministries and all. We directly work with the industries, lot of stakeholder consultation. So that's how we gather a lot of data. On the basis of that data, we come out with certain things. Now those certain things are not the decisions.
Right.
It's just the starting pitch.
Right.
Then the filtering out happens. After that filtering out, then the stakeholder consultations, then we look at the different feedback. This is an iterative process. After that, we also see the fiscal commitments. Right. What type of fiscal commitments we have to make to be competitive if we are entering into this.
Right.
Whether it is a hygiene factor, we should enter. So for example, if I take a case of the advanced chemistry cell program.
Yes.
So energy storage report was there, volume 1. On the basis of that, we had come out that now ACC should be implemented. Right. So there was it was the need.
Right.
It wasn't the hygiene factor that we should or we shouldn't. We have to.
We have to.
Right. Now, if you have to, then there are several constraints. As a country, we need to think what is general good. Right. General good for the public, general good for the industry, general good for the country.
Right.
What is this general good? That is something which we need to define. Because outside everyone, in my previous role with the Mercedes-Benz or the Volkswagen, even with the HPCL and all.
Yeah.
So our thinking is very, very limited. Right? We always think what is good for our role and this organization.
Right.
So if you are a leadership position, you might think about the department or the organization. Organization per se, if it is India based, only India based, not the globally.
Yeah.
Right. But when you are in a position at Niti Aayog, wherein each and every decision can impact everything. And by the way, when Niti does something, it also impacts the state decisions.
Right.
So it's not only the central policy. So if we are going to come out, let's say FAME 2 modeling happens, or even the,
Yes.
so to say, the ACC. So it's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
So states also learn from us.
Hmm.
They will also implement the things from on the basis of what has been done in Niti,
Right.
because there is a lot of trust that the decisions which has reached are out of several state consultations, several. So we also do the consultations with the states,
Hmm.
industry,
Hmm.
individuals,
Hmm.
experts, and all this consultation starts after we have the data. So,
Right.
first gathering data,
Data.
see the global trend, what is needed for this country, what are the fiscal commitments possible, discuss with the Ministry of the Finance and all, discuss with the implementation ministry, and also decide under which ministry it will come, then frame the broader guidelines and go for the stakeholder consultations at different levels. So this is largely the process which is being followed
Right.
at.
So if I see the fundamental or the basic is eventually the policy, whatever you are going to come out has to be in favor of the people in general for the common good.
Absolutely. That's the number one thing.
That is the number one thing. So that's why it becomes very, very important to take the feedback, looking at the global trends, the data availability, consultation, the feedback, opinion from the ministry, the PSUs, the general public, the industry, and then take a decision what is going to be the commonly good for the people of India, that too maybe in the long term, not a very short term kind of a viewpoint, right? So that is the entire fundamental, if I can
Exactly.
see. And maybe Randheer ji, that is why there is sometimes pushback from industry, because industry thinks about the industry. It can be any industry. So, but eventually, the policymaker has to think about the larger good and a long-term viewpoint, right?
I can guess so where you are going to, and actually it's a very good direction. We should actually discuss that.
Right. And uh, before that, I just wanted you to, explain a little bit about some of the definitions. For example, let's say Niti Aayog or any advisory body comes up with a report. Then based on report, some kind of a policy making initiative is initiated. So there are things like whether it can be a scheme or it can be a policy or it can be part of the act or the act itself or the amendment. So in your, journey, how many things you have seen, the policies, the acts, the notifications, general tools of the public policy? I just wanted to understand.
So I think my journey, in my journey, what I think I have seen almost everything.
Yeah.
I'm in industry, and you also know that from 2020 to 2023, the first task which we did was the FAME 2 remodeling. It
Yes.
wasn't picking up and all.
Right.
We completely overhauled the FAME 2. So that is the, if we count, that is the scheme which we completely overhauled. We decided that some part has to be done by the CESL, and the some part has to be done directly by the government, because that's how it will be successful.
Right.
Right. So that's how we have seen that e-bus tender was done through the CESL, charging infra was there to the CESL, and the two-wheelers and the three-wheelers were directly handled, two-wheelers mainly were directly handled through the ministry, which I actually disbursed the money for that. So that is one thing. So that we can see scheme remodeling part. When it comes to the particularly policy, battery swapping was the one which I could say that from scratch, from zero, which we did. Of course, the draft was released, but finally,
Yeah, we will discuss.
yeah, about the industry, what has happened. Next comes about the standards, the BIS standards. So I was also sitting in the review committee of the BIS standards as well as the ETD 5.1. In addition to 17,000 series. So, 17 work on the 17,000 series was going on, I think, from 2019 or 2018 onwards.
Right.
But not a single standard was released till 2020.
Yes.
And the task which was given to me by my boss, Mr. Amitabh Kant, he was our CEO, and he was like, Randheer, कुछ भी करो, ये standards आना चाहिए, नहीं तो industry move नहीं कर रही है. That's how it was a very clear cut thing for me that you are coming from the industry. That means I am coming from the automotive background. I am coming from the industry. I understand the technicalities involved.
Right.
And now I am in the Niti Aayog, wherein I can actually make a difference, for which I was there. And this is one area which has to be really pushed. Unless you are sure that whatever schemes, policies, things you are releasing out, whether they are safe or not.
Right.
EV is very, very
Vulnerable.
still it's a
Yeah,
nascent
yeah.
stage, right? I could say in our country. So common people are most vulnerable. They don't care what goes
Right.
inside. For them, it's the
Yes.
performance, right?
Yeah.
And if anything goes wrong, it's like we are not going to touch it, right?
Right.
So as a country, if you want to make a transition, that's a big difference. So BIS standards was the one thing, 17,000 series, and of course the four standards which weren't released, but still they are ready for the battery swapping.
Right.
That is about the standard. There are multiple acts on which we worked. I cannot name
Yeah.
most of them,
Of
of
course.
course. Several consultative committees, which includes the consultative committee for the EV, consultative committee for the ACC, parliamentary standing committees, several parliamentary standing committees I represented. In fact, there was a parliamentary standing committee specifically to hear on the battery swapping also. I am not sure if it is, of course,
Right.
I cannot give you the details
Right.
because you are under oath under
Yes.
the parliamentary
Yes.
standing committees. I cannot say a word around it. Central Air Quality Mission also, I made a presentation. They wanted to know why and how EVs would be beneficial for the environment.
Right.
And we are seeing the ripple down effect. Several things has come out from the CAQM as well
Right.
as by the states. Then the particularly state EV policies.
Right. Right.
So directly I have worked for at least 22 states and union territories for the
And
uh,
that's
for
that.
the
That was
release.
the time when states were very hesitant about
Yes,
coming on board, and I
exactly.
think now almost every state has the policy.
Right. Then we also
So
worked with around 16 IITs
right.
because from the skill development side, we wanted to that it's not about only IITs or
Right.
NITs
Right.
why they should do, but somebody has to start. It has to start from the top, wherein the benchmark has to be set in terms of what should be the curriculum, how it
Right.
has to be done, how the marking has to be done, and there has to be a message which should go into the academic corridors.
Right.
That boss, this is something which is in high demand, and IITs have started doing it.
Right.
So along with we worked with the IITs and we started the MS programs, PhD programs, PG programs, and in fact some of the IITs are going to start the UG programs also.
And I think that is very good for even IITs that they also understand, the future trend. For example, this electric mobility is going to stay, at least in my
Yeah.
opinion, another 30 years. There is going to be a lot
It
of
was
scope
killed in
for
19 early 19s,
right,
19s, but 1920, 1910s, and it was killed. In fact, that was the first thing which has come out in the automotive, right?
right, right.
Before the gasoline engine.
So a lot of good quality work possibilities there, and educational institutes also have to look for like the future potential. So that's why it becomes very important for them also to get an idea what's going
For
to be the
sure,
future.
for sure. I was invited by this college called Shriram College of Commerce.
Yeah.
So after COVID, they again started the Arun Jaitley Finance Club or something. So wherein I had the chance to interact with the students and all. Wonderful their thoughts and everything. But of course, what I find is some myths and other things
Right.
across how things work, how things happen and all. But it was wonderful interacting with them. And
Right,
of course,
right.
I should point out one thing, which is the PLI.
Yeah, that's
So,
I think one of the most
ACC,
important thing,
yeah,
and I
ACC
will go
PLI
a
and the
little
auto
bit
PLI
of
thing.
in background of that policy. So Randheer ji was, somebody who initiated or one of the first people started working on the PLI scheme, and as a backdrop, they came up with the need for energy storage in India. There were the volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, and I recommend everyone to read those studies. And Randhir ji, I was reading the volume 1, and that time you have done some kind of a market estimation, and you talked about 1.2 gigawatt is the capacity that point in time, and 3.3 gigawatt was the tendered, and I think 0.085 was in the commercialization
Yes.
phase. And when
That
we
was megawatt hour.
megawatt hour, yes. And when we see now the numbers have gone shot up like anything, which means what you concluded was actually very right, that we have to come up with a policy which intends to localize the cell manufacturing in India. So that was the origin of coming up with this PLI for ACC
First one,
scheme,
right.
right? So if you can just start, right, what was the idea behind the PLI for ACC and entire process, how it got formulated, and then we will go a little deeper into it.
Sure. Before that, I think one statement I want to make is it's very tough to bring something very new about which nobody is aware in government or even in industry. Government people thinks what it is, first thing,
Right.
and why it is needed,
Hmm.
and why should we do, whether
Right.
somebody has done.
Mm-hmm.
Within industry, we cannot do it.
Yeah.
It's highly capital intensive
Yes.
for anything. And the when it comes to the consumer,
Hmm.
it's the behavioral change.
Yeah.
So the when it comes to the ACC, the challenges were all around.
Hmm.
You know, the first thing is why it is required,
Mhm.
right? So it has come out from the energy storage, the requirements which we have done. So uh, actually everything started from the BESS, battery energy storage thing, right? And then when we saw that BESS is one, but the biggest potential is EVs.
Hmm.
As well as we will be lagging in EVs in the future if we are not going to do this.
Right.
And this is something it took us a lot of time. So first thing is you need to go and convince Ministry of Finance,
Right.
because finally fiscal allotment they have to
Right.
give. Why it is required, why now it is required, and why this much is required. 18,100 crore is not a small amount. Second thing is, the definition itself, ACC,
Right.
it wasn't existing before our
Right.
PLI, by the way.
Right.
It was the either particular chemistry, lithium ion battery, NMC, LFP was not that much prevalent at that
LTU
point
a
of
little
time.
bit. Hmm.
How the ACC word has come out. So when we had an interaction within the industry and all, everybody was talking about this chemistry, but the thing is, when we are tendering, or as in general, when we want this country to go forward, we cannot pinpoint on one thing or the two thing or the three things. We wanted something very generic.
Hmm.
Now, wherever you are going, you have to take on board MHI, you have to take on board MOP also, you have to take on board Ministry of Finance, BE, all those people in addition to the industry and all. And finally, your big boss, Cancer, right? And also, we also have Saraswat sir, right?
Right. Right.
He's also involved.
Yeah.
So you have to first convince all of them,
Hmm.
right? Ki this is right, this is something has to be done.
Hmm.
Next question, if they are convinced, then how it has to be done?
Hmm.
There comes the biggest challenge which we faced is how we should make it technology agnostic
Right.
and usage agnostic.
Hmm.
Those were the biggest challenges. And I think that's where industry, organizations, experts, these people actually really helped us.
Randheer ji, why technology agnostic and why usage agnostic? I just wanted to understand. This is very important.
Very important,
right? Yes.
extremely important. In fact, so it's a, one thing which
Because generally, sorry to interrupt, because
yeah.
generally people or industry gives an opinion, right? Volume constraints are there. So why don't we decide just one chemistry, LFP or NMC? And then that is how we get the volume and localization becomes much faster. But I think there is some fundamental need of being technology as well as usage agnostic.
Well, it's actually very interesting, and this I get quite a lot during the one-on-one discussions. So we have to understand few things. One thing is, when you are starting something, the one question which generally, if somebody is already there in the industry and which people say, stifling the innovation. This is one thing.
Okay.
But stifling innovation I will keep aside. Let's talk about the greater good.
Okay.
You don't know what type of adoption is going to happen.
Right.
Now there are different segments. You have two-wheeler, you have three-wheeler, you have four-wheeler, commercial, passenger, buses, HDVs,
Right.
and also the bicycles, electric bicycles. The usage, utilization, as well as the requirement of every segment is different. Right from the how much everybody is willing to pay for that particular thing. It has to be within those cost, otherwise nobody is going to use it. It will become a premium thing.
Right.
One thing. Second thing is how the world is moving, where the investments are flowing globally, which technology is moving towards the saturation, which technology is moving towards TRL4, TRL5 and all, technology readiness level.
Right.
So those TRL things also we need to see at what TRL level currently which technology is. It shouldn't happen that, first of all, even today, no country, including China or anyone, no country can actually decide that this is one technology I want to proceed with.
Even China.
Even
despite
China,
LFP
even China.
being the birth of. from there.
And still they controls 85% of the entire supply chain of cell manufacturing.
Right.
On an average, if we start from right from the mining,
Mm-hmm.
processing,
Mm.
assembling, manufacturing, recycling,
Mm.
putting it back into the system, 85% of entire supply chain is still controlled by them.
Mm.
Even that country cannot decide that we want to go with one technology.
Mm.
So, I mean, since we are discussing, and currently in our country, the most advanced which technology is there? 811 NMC.
Right.
In terms of the battery density, in terms of the price point, in terms of the performance,
Right.
watt hour per kg. Where China has moved? 910.
Mm.
China is already at 910.
Right.
Not a single battery in our country is with 910.
Mm.
So you understand?
Right. Understood.
So it's a cobalt free, by the way.
Mm.
You know, Dominica,
911.
yeah, Republic, Congo, Dominican Republic we talk about. So it's already,
It's already cold.
people talk, so there are certain views from certain, people in our country. They are like, if we talk about with them, there's cobalt free,
Mm.
910, extremely high energy density.
Mm.
They are like, it's unstable, it's going to be unstable. It's going to be unstable. First of all, they have never used it. They have never seen the data.
Mm.
So they're the world's biggest company, around 30% of their, I won't name them, world's biggest cell manufacturer.
Mhm.
That is actually, that guy is like, second
Right,
position is like half of them.
Uh-huh.
Their production right now, 30% within the NMC is 910.
30%.
30%. So if they are producing 100 gigawatt hour of the NMC,
Mm.
in that the 910 ratio right now is 30%. That's the volume which they are churning out.
Right. Where they're selling, right, in that particular country?
Their current market.
Yeah.
In fact, in EVs, this is very, very peculiar and interesting thing.
Mm-hmm.
The most advanced things happen in China first. Then they go to the West or anywhere else. First, within the China, the adoption happens. When it comes to the screen, when it comes to the passenger safety,
Mm.
by the way, battery grade material for the cells, their standards are not existent anywhere but China.
Mm.
Europe and other places don't have
Don't have
the
this.
standards to define what is battery grade and what is industrial grade. Industrial grade is everywhere, but battery grade definition is only available in China. The standards are available only in China.
Only in China.
And the thing is, they are in Chinese.
Right. So, and I think even the recycling in India, in China is 98% of extraction efficiency.
Exactly.
So whatever
No,
they are,
some companies, sorry, I was talking to one company. They themselves also calls themselves the Mercedes-Benz of the recycling. If you go and see their factory, there's no waste. And the purification level is so high that you are breathing normally. No mask, nothing is required. Your normal breathing. It's like, it will be better than the Delhi's open atmosphere. That's the within the recycling plant. They call themselves the Mercedes-Benz, and not many people, but they have the biggest of the clients. The biggest of the clients they have. And their extraction rate is much higher than 98%. Nothing comes out. Nothing. All environmental norms, everything they fulfill. There's ZWD.
right.
Very, very, very clearly. So that's the scenario. Now coming back to the the ACC PLI part, I think that's where we were. Yes. So first of all,
Technology and usage
so
agnostic.
technology and usage agnostic thing is something which we wanted to do, and we cannot fix on the one thing because of all these reasons.
Right.
And one more reason which I should say is, as we progress, when we adopt something, the cost is generally high.
Right.
But as we move forward, and we have seen in the case of the lithium-ion batteries, right, from $1,200 per kilowatt hour to right now it's around at system level $100 per kilowatt hour at system level.
Right.
At even cell level, it has gone up to the $50 per kilowatt hour. So the drastic reduction,
Right.
and that is also one reason that nobody can pinpoint what is the price point at which particular technology will saturate. And country like ours, we wanted the most cost efficient, safest, and the segment specific technology. That's why it has to be usage as well as technology
Technology
agnostic,
agnostic.
both things.
Mm.
The most important thing, you must have seen, we have come out with the metrics,
Matrix,
cycle
energy
life,
density
whatever,
and cycle life.
whatever packet.
Yeah.
You know, the technology change in this area,
Mm.
so everything is related to money.
Right.
More money flows, better technology goes. More money flows, better technology goes. More money flows, better technology goes. The same thing is happening in this also.
Mm.
So the money is flowing and technology is changing.
Mm.
But the process within the government, you have to go and convince everyone.
Mm.
Then it has, all the ministries have to approve.
Yeah.
Your bosses has to approve. The fiscal approval has to happen. Then the cabinet approval also needs to
Yes.
happen, because it's a big
Big
project,
amount. Yes.
which happened in 2021. Finally, after the cabinet approval only, you can actually
Right.
implement this. This takes a lot of time.
Mm.
And I would say it took 2 to 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Within that period of time itself,
Mm.
and we were aware, right, it is going to take a lot of time.
Yes.
And by the time it gets approved, the technology, if we fix on some technology or some chemistry, it will become obsolete.
Yeah, even if you try to bring all available technologies, right, all available chemistries, but new innovation can happen anytime.
What we will do?
Unheard battery chemistries come, technology
Exactly.
breakthroughs can happen. Now I can understand, why it was defined on cycle life
And we have not written lithium anywhere, by the way.
right.
It's advanced chemistry.
Advanced chemistry.
So if you meet the watt hour and the cycle life,
Mm.
let's say 2000 cycles, 250 or 275 watt hour per kg, and you zero upon this, and if you meet that by sodium ion,
Mm-hmm.
or if you meet that by aluminum air, or the
Any-
the zinc gel, or the solid state, you are most welcome. And if that technology changes, that means you can provide the better one.
Right.
Then provide the better one.
Correct.
And take the incentive accordingly. Incentive structure is that way. So that is one reason we wanted to make it technology agnostic as well as usage agnostic.
Mm.
So both the things we wanted to incorporate, and also to take care what in future will come.
Right, right. So in this way, actually, you protected the current and future also. So
Yes.
whatever chemistry innovation can happen, or whatever innovation can happen, actually can come in the definition of energy density and cycle life.
And that is why you must have seen first ACC PLI, when we did the tender for the 50 gigawatt hour, out of which 30 was finally allocated. And when the second happened after 1.5 to 2 years,
Right,
almost after 2 years second happened, everything remained same.
right.
In the metrics, nothing was touched.
Yeah, so qualification criteria,
Although the
definition,
technology
everything.
changed a lot.
Right.
So people quoted for different things.
That's why, this is what I want to point out, that when policy making happens, you need to have a framework which can continue for a longer period of
Yes,
time. Otherwise,
exactly.
there is a new technology and you have to repeat the 3-year-long process again, onboard all ministries, PSUs and all stakeholders.
And then
that becomes
cabinet
a mammoth
approval.
task. Cabinet approval.
At central
And,
government
If
level.
it happens many times, it will give confusing messages to the industry also.
Right.
Which definitely is going to be an impediment for implementation of such policies.
For
Now
sure.
it is very clear to me. Thank you very much, and I'm sure this is going to be very clear with the many of our listeners also. So Randheer ji, now I think the scheme has been under implementation since last few years, right?
Yeah, almost 4 years.
4 years, and many companies are allocated and they are building on factories. I'm sure they have their own bit of challenges also in terms of meeting all kind of requirements, including the value addition number, the 60% which government has
5
put.
years.
25%,
25%
2 years, and
2 years.
60% within 5
5
years.
years.
But I think the progress is immense, and other than those people who have not been part of the PLI for ACC are also finding a way either through technology licensing,
In fact,
technology
sorry to
alliances.
interrupt, that's always the idea of the policy, right? The nudge.
Right.
It's not about whether so we always go and talk about, oh, this is not successful, this is not successful, you have released this, that has not happened. You need to see it as an ecosystem perspective. Before that, nobody was talking about cell manufacturing even can happen here.
Right,
In fact, within the government also,
right.
many ministries and high profile people told us, this is not going to be successful. You will not get a single bidder. And you know how many bidders we got the first time itself, when there is no ecosystem at all. And 60% of local addition at cell level in 5 years after that was a very, very big, and strict hurdle.
Yes.
We got 16 people who bought the bids.
16.
16 companies bought the bid, 10 actually bid for it, 9 got finally selected. Because I was a part of the
Right.
selection committee also, a bid evaluation also. So you know, when somebody says zero, from
Right.
0 to so many
16 to
companies,
9 to, yes.
exactly, and almost everyone, almost everyone. So the minimum criteria was 5 gigawatt hour, maximum criteria was up to the 20 gigawatt hour, total available was 50.
Right.
Almost 4 companies bid for 20 gigawatt hour,
Okay.
and most of the companies have bid for more than 5 gigawatt
More
hour.
than 5. Okay. So I think PLI scheme is not only bringing out the people under PLI scheme, but also pushing industry to adopt it much
Yes.
faster. So that is the I think bigger
It's an
advantage.
ecosystem idea.
Development is happening much faster. And I think now, because as you said, implementation is happening around 5 years with another private players coming into the play. It is important to understand the implementation stage also. I am not trying to understand, particularly for those companies only which are part of the PLI scheme, but in general.
Ecosystem
And,
perspective.
I must congratulate you for bringing out the report. Everyone must, read that report. That is first in industry, and I think such deep diving is not available in any kind of industry report. The HDV status in
Yes.
India.
Localization and market for the localized
Localization.
products.
I was going through that report. Actually, I read almost entire report, and for today's discussion, I am trying to bring the part which you have covered under the batteries. And when you brought those reports, which became the backbone of PLI scheme, in those you mentioned, right, for LFP chemistry, probably 70 to 90% localization is theoretically
Yes.
possible, which is only 43% for the NMC,
NMC.
chemistry. Those were some of the numbers in those.
Exactly numbers. You remember right, correctly, yes.
And in this report also, you have pointed out, let's say, if I talk about the cost contribution, approximately 35 to 45 is for cathode,
Yes.
10 to 15%
Anode.
for anode and electrolyte, and separator 10%, then others housing and others are like 20%. So cost contribution, which means mostly it's cathode as well as anode. We can say like anode, cathode, electrolyte and separator,
yes.
is almost more than 80% cost contribution.
Correct.
I just wanted to understand, Randheer ji, first at cell level, what is the current level of localization in India, whether it is 10%, 20%, 30%, and if you can break down this for all key component, at least for anode, cathode, electrolyte and separator on some timelines, let's say 2027, 2024, 2027, 2030, that will be really good.
Sure. A lot of questions in one. So let's break it down at the
Yes.
cell level, where we stand as of now.
Yes.
So first let's break the cell. At the top level, I won't go into the extreme detail, but let's top
Yes,
level.
top
Cathode,
level.
we have anode, we have separator, we have electrolyte, we have casing.
Right.
Only these are the main top parts. When we talk about the cathode, nobody does in India, 0%. There are 2 to 3 manufacturers right now who claim to have started the cathode active material.
Right.
And some of them are actually on the validation stage. In fact, at least 2 I know, as per my information, are currently undergoing through the validation process. You know, validation process takes 3 to 4 years with the manufacturer, with the original manufacturers. So some of them are at the validation stage, but we don't have any cathode manufacturer as of now.
Right.
When it comes to the anode, we have at least 3 companies who are right now, and out of 3, in fact 2 I know they are being validated also.
Already validated.
Validated, and graphitization and other things are done. And good part is the raw material for the anode is available in our country. We don't have the synthetic graphite, but we have the natural graphite, right? And the companies have the capability in India. So from anode perspective, we are actually set. If the companies who wants to localize, they make effort, it can be localized. So that is something which is a low hanging fruit. Next comes the separator as well as the electrolyte.
Right.
Separator is something which actually has been localized. I can actually say this is the company who's already been validated, and there are around 2 companies. One of them has validated their product already, so it is available with them. The another company is for the electrolyte. Electrolyte is actually a low hanging fruit. And in fact, a very interesting fact is Indian traders, Indian traders, I'm not saying manufacturing, Indian traders, they handle almost 60 to 65% of the global movement of electrolyte for lithium ion batteries. Indian traders. And why I am saying this in particular, because in my company Forsee, I had the inquiry and we submitted the proposal also to one of the organization. Finally, it went to somebody else, and they wanted to. So within the electrolyte, so it's a mix with the solvent salts you mix, and that's how the electrolyte is being made.
Right.
So one particular salt they wanted to localize, but from where their learning is coming, the trader community, they're like, the movement of this particular material in the global market has become so high and the demand is so fast. I want to manufacture myself. The margins are very huge. So, so that is why some extremely new companies are setting up here, and the existing companies are also doing it. So this is one. When it comes to the casing on, it's localized.
Right.
Because those materials are still already available with us. The steel casing, the aluminum casing, those materials are already available with us.
Right.
So overall, this is the stage we are. But if I talk about by 2027, where we will be, casing, let's say 100%,
Right.
no problem. Separator, electrolyte, I would say 65 to 70%. By 2027, I think 40 to 50% we should be achieving this. When it comes to the anode, again the same. 35 to 45% is something which I am looking at. Cathode is something, if CAM is done, so 10 to 15% is something which I am looking at. And also this data is mainly coming after the discussion with several companies,
Right.
not the OEMs but the suppliers. MSMEs, big ones, not only in India but abroad also. Now the next stage when it comes to 2030, or I'll say 2030 to 2035, that's where cathode, I think 20 to 25%, because validation of certain companies happens, then suddenly this will jump.
Right. Right.
Similar is case with the anode also. Anode I am looking at the upwards of the 60%. And the rest other components upwards of the 70 to 80%. So that is what I am looking at the cell level. I have not included the BMS because BMS goes at the module or the pack level.
Right. So which means cathode is anyway the biggest challenge.
Yes.
But as you said, there are companies which are into the validation phase,
Yes.
which takes around 3-4 years. And once that is done, then probably there is good
Sudden
opportunity. Sudden adoption. And anode part, I think we are sorted, right?
We are sorted. Anode part is sorted.
Even if it is not with the, even if it is only with the natural graphite, because availability is there.
You need
not
the synthetic
one.
graphite, but the companies have the capability to do that in India. At least 3 biggest, very big companies have the capability. They are also investing a lot of money in this. This is actually very good thing. And this is actually, the investment is available in the public domain. Of course, they are very secretive about what they are doing. But but you keep talking to these people on a day in day out basis, so you know what they are doing, and I'm also doing the projects to some of them with some of them.
And as you said, electrolyte is already localized.
Yes.
And there are companies like I remember one of my discussion, I think in some platform with Neogen, if I remember correctly, on public platform in some of the conferences, and Harin was talking about it, that they have almost localized it. So it's like the general perception, right, that it's completely controlled by China, nothing can happen in terms of the localization. And if we go back and connect it with the 60% value addition requirement in PLI, so a lot of confusion, right?
So
but
companies adopted that accepted also that 60% because it was possible, and we have shown through several mechanisms, several discussions. In fact, I have given several presentations to not only the ministries but in the public domain itself, several consultations, wherein we had one-on-one discussion with the companies, including that those who have not quoted for this, and I can name them, those who have not quoted but have the several discussions. It's the Tatas were there, Maruti was there, I'm talking about the Suzuki, who have actually finally decided to put up their, although they are not part of the PLI, but they are actually putting up their cell manufacturing facility. That means they have the capability. Of course, right now might not be able to, or at that point of time they might not be visualizing or seeing that this much localization is possible. But if you go to them and today ask them whether it's still not possible, I don't think the answer would be no.
Right. So I think whatever you started working long back is now bringing out the fruits. So
helping in at least
yeah.
building up the ecosystem, and that is
Right.
what is the need of the hour.
Right, right,
Particular thing might not be successful, but overall ecosystem has to develop.
right. Just one more question around cell localization, right? Does cell localization in India is going to give cost advantage? Can it be like lower cost? I mean, if can we assume, or capability building definitely is more important, supply chain security is important, stability is important, but is it going to result into cost advantage, or we cannot achieve more less than $50?
So that when you start something, the fixed cost is there,
Mm.
and you have a neighbor,
Right.
fixed cost is all done, full
Right.
depreciated. Now they have only the per unit production cost.
Right.
That is what is there.
Mm.
Now you are competing, you are putting up every investment and also per unit production cost without that learning curve, without having the technology. Technology transfer has happened, so much money is involved, you cannot compete with them.
Right.
To bring that competition,
Mm.
there is something called dynamic duty structure,
Okay.
which was also proposed along with the ACC and is in the implementation phase along with this. So it's not that one lever. When I talk about that, we have to go and discuss with the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Heavy Industries and all. With everyone, there is a different ask. Let's say with the Ministry of Finance and all, that the duty structure also need to work in the manner
Right.
wherein it will help our local players or the people whom we are bidding.
Right.
So it's a two-way mechanism.
Hmm.
Whatever they are bidding, so they are getting some viability gap funding on the
Right.
basis of their bidding,
Yes.
the money they are getting,
Yes.
but also helping them to achieve the cost competitiveness as well as the technology competitiveness,
Right.
and develop the local ecosystem.
Mhm.
You also need to use other levers, which is the BCD, basic customs duty.
Hmm.
So let's say your people starts it.
Right.
Till now nobody is there, custom duty is lower, so that you can import those things which you have seen in the last budget. The machinery you can actually import
Yeah,
at 0%,
zero.
because you need the machinery to produce, right?
Yeah, and we don't have.
Exactly. So on machinery you need to reduce. In next 1 to 1.5 year, when the cell manufacturing starts, import of the cell, the BCD has to increase,
Yeah.
and it's as the volume increases, local production increases, the BCD has to further
Keep
increase.
going up.
When we are able to meet at least 60 to 70% of our own requirement, the BCD should reach to a particular peak value. Then there is some time of the saturation wherein our guys stabilizes in terms of the cost, innovation, R&D and all,
Right.
and then again it goes down, because we cannot always keep it up. We are the WTO signatory also, so it's whatever is happening in this in other parts of the world, that randomly the customs duty are getting increased and all.
Right.
So
This is interesting. I want some more input on this. As you said, dynamic duty structure is very important. As we develop the manufacturing capability, we can, keep increasing, and after a certain point, we can, either stabilize it or we bring it down.
bring it down, yeah.
So
Now generally it has to come down.
generally, it has to.
Otherwise, your companies can never be cost competitive and globally competitive. They will always
they
be.
can't be
They will
globally
always be in a
competitive?
protected mode.
Okay.
They will never face the external heat.
External heat.
And until and unless you face the external heat, the pace as well as pace of innovation stops is one thing. Second is stagnation comes. The
Right.
market will not get something new, because they cannot even import anything to put, okay, this is my technology and you are giving me this technology.
Right. Even for the understanding and
Yes.
R&D purposes, that is very, very important. Right.
So it becomes the protectionism.
Right.
It should not continue. Protectionism is required for somebody to mature. It's like a child, right?
Correct,
Initially you protect, and then you leave him open, right?
Yeah.
Go and compete,
Go and compete.
right?
Face the outside world.
Exactly. So it's similar to that.
No,
It's a
very
nurturing.
clear. Good insights, Randheer ji. We can quickly cover. Can we quickly cover about the pack level also? Because
Sure,
I think
sure,
pack level we are much more competent, right? So we can just break down the cost of a pack in different components and talk about the localization of current and future for all those components.
So pack level, I think we are 100% self-reliant.
Okay.
We don't. I'm talking about the EVs,
Yeah, yeah.
not the BESS.
Yes.
At the BESS level, but and it's very unfortunate that we are actually importing the entire containerized solution. It's not even getting assembled here. Anyways, but at the EV level, I think we are fully self-reliant in terms of that. BMS. So in that One is the cell.
Right.
Second part is the BMS, the casing,
Right.
cell interconnectors, and the cooling mechanism. Sometimes external is not required. Active and the passive cooling is something which we can talk about. The cell in itself is up to the 70%. Then comes the around 10 to 15% the BMS. Cell interconnectors 5 to 7%, and then the rest is the casing and the other corresponding components. We also have the coolant, so I have included that coolant in the 5 to 7% of the BMS itself, because active cooling for the
Right.
active cooling. So these are the broadly the components which are required, and I think you want to know in 2027
Right,
where
right.
we will be,
Yeah,
in
2030,
2030
if those
So
timelines.
in 2027, I think when the localization at the cell level increases, that means within that 70% of the
70%.
cost, my assumption is by 2027 at least 60%, so around 40% of that component should be localized at the cell part. That means, sorry, overall battery cell is 70%, 60% is
60
localized, so 40%, around
60% of the
40%,
cell. Yes.
right? Rest other components, BMS, casing. By the way, for the bigger passenger vehicles and others, the casing localization is also not 100%. It's a very unfortunate thing, and
But why? I mean, casing can be localized, right?
cost competitiveness is one. Second thing is the technology development. You know, and this is something which the standards also talk about. Standards are not what new technology will come, what testing has to be done. Standards are always they are always lagging. Okay, what has been come, let's do the testing now for this, because we have learned so many things.
Right.
ऐसा होता है. So now those tests has to be done so that those can be prevented. What if some new technology comes? So for example, and the same thing is happening with the casing itself. Casing has to contain the fire, right?
Right.
So initially, let's say we learned that our casing is sufficient. Somebody has developed the casing, and I won't name them. And that casing is sufficient for, let's say, 622, right? But that casing was not able to survive for 811.
811. Oh.
Your casing has to be ready for that, right? So now they have to import everything. Now if you are going to put another technology within the LFP also, somebody is doing 110, 120, 130, 180 watt-hour per kg. For everything, there has to be separate type of casing which is required, so that it can contain the thermal runaway, all other components, and the temperatures under which it has to operate, the components which has to go inside. It's not only the cell, right?
Right.
We still have not adopted the cell to pack,
Right.
all those things. So that is the one reason even the casing is not being 100% localized. And that is where the government has to actually do a really deep dive now. And this is very right time wherein government has to do the deep dive. What component, in fact at the company level it has to be done. Why somebody is not able to do?
Right.
Don't penalize them.
Right.
Help them. Support them. What they require. The willingness of everyone is that everything has to be localized. It's a very good thing in industry.
Right.
Everybody wants to localize, have a hold on their supply chain.
Right.
But only thing is they need some help from those who know about it,
Right.
from those who can actually influence, and those people are sitting in the government.
Right.
Right. They can all. It's not only always about the monetary.
Right.
Non-monetary incentives are huge in number. You can actually facilitate through that. So that is what the number is when it comes to the localization. But when it comes to 2030 and all, I think overall at the pack level, or in fact that is transformed to the in fact first is module level and then the pack level also the same is being transformed. I think around 75 to 80% is something which I am looking at. But again, everything depends upon that cathode part.
Right. Cell localization.
Yes.
Right.
Within the cell localization also the cathode. Specifically. And I think very specific, very targeted things we require there. Because it's not only about the cathode or the anode, it's also about the processing technologies.
Right.
And it's also the recycling technology. Because finally, even if you bring...
How, Randheer ji, processing and recycling is connected with the cathode manufacturing?
It's like they are here and they are connected like this, nobody in between.
Right.
So entire process is like this, processing is here. So let me explain.
Yeah, please.
So you mine the lithium in different forms. spodumene or the lithium carbonate, or finally convert in the lithium hydroxide, use it to develop the lithium, and then you enrich it. You go into the CAM, and then you finally do the validation, give it to the, in a crude way. This is how it happens.
Yeah.
So lithium is not available with us. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about the RIACI and all, because
Right.
still nothing has come out, and it takes many years to actually find out. So let's say you have an area wherein at initial stage, and I have written an article also on that. At initial stage, you say 10 million metric tons is there, or 100 million metric tons is there. When it comes finally that what is the usable thing in all that area, it might be 1/10 or 1/100th, even 1,000th, which might or might not be even feasible. Right, and it takes a lot of time, 4 to 5 years to reach up to that stage. Anyways, and even if you get the lithium out of that, you need the enrichment, you need the processing.
Yes.
Where the processing facility is there? Who is doing this processing? How many people actually have to process it to the battery grade?
Battery grade.
I'm again and again emphasizing on battery grade, not the industrial grade, battery grade. This is one.
Even most of the things what is coming from recycling in India is not battery grade. It's
And-
all industry grade.
And how it
industrial
happens?
grade.
The volume you have to handle at the bottom of the pyramid. That means first you have to mine so many things. Out of that, usable will be this much. You know, lithium carbonate, lithium content is 18% by weight. Only 18% by weight, right? So this much you will get. So you will get this much. Then you have to process this, and this much you will get. That means the capex involved is very
Very,
high
very high.
at the processing stage. So capex involved is very high, risk is very high, that when this material will come, how much it can actually process. And then finally you need to have the tech that it will actually finally give you the battery grade, which can be validated with other people. And this is something which is not available when it comes to the processing. And although we are trying to get the mines abroad, but what about the processing?
Processing.
You know, we say that we have very big, you know, the processing companies in India. Why they are not doing?
Right.
I don't want to name them, but why they are not doing,
Yes.
right?
Which means
so there it comes the
capability
processing.
issues. Yes, of course.
They are not doing, not even in India, not even abroad.
Right.
So there is a technology gap, and the investment required is heavy, and the government has to pitch in for this. This comes the processing. Now the recycling part.
Yes.
Where recycling gets benefit and where is the disadvantage? The advantage is that they get the material which is already enriched.
Yes.
They only need to figure out how to extract
How to
it,
extract it.
which is a simple technology. You know, if I just go to up to the salt stable, the titration and all those things is what, from the black mass up to the titration, finally you get. Although 1 or 2 companies claim in India that they do the battery grade material, they take out the battery grade material from the lithium ion batteries. One of them I have seen, one of them I have not seen. I am going to it might go to their factory soon. But rest others nobody is doing. Everybody is at up to the black mass level. But anyways,
Yeah.
just connecting the dots.
Right.
So that is where you can actually simply extract the material which is of battery grade,
Battery grade.
from the used batteries. Used batteries are already there. So when you are retiring, I'm not saying they are going to the dump yard,
Right.
but where they are ending at the black mass level. This black mass is not fully used in our country. Black mass is being exported. When you export, the black mass is a crude oil.
Yeah. I was looking at, I mean, my understanding, it's like 70-80% is just going outside India.
Only outside.
And whatever remaining is there is not also coming out as battery grade.
70-80% goes now as a black mass because to European Union and China has actually identified it. But rest of the countries has not even identified the black mass word, including our country.
Right.
The black mass word has not been, you know, still figured out and updated. So it has going with the different names. It has been exported, and it's
Sometimes
a crime.
And sometimes I heard it's exported as product. I mean, some kind of
Metal
a product
hydride, MHP, all those things, and it's a crime to export this. But the companies are not at fault. The reason is very simple. The capex involved again to put up a factory from the black mass to the salts is very high.
Very high.
They need the support.
Right.
Not a single policy is there for the battery recycling.
Hmm.
Not a single policy. Battery waste management are the rules,
Yes.
which actually makes it tough.
Makes it tough. I mean, it gives mandates to battery
Unfortunately, I was the
manufacturers.
part of the BWMR,
And,
battery waste management rules.
It's mandate, right?
It's
so,
a mandate.
So you have to comply with it, but there is no support ecosystem for
Exactly.
recyclers who are not able to develop. As you said, right? This is oil, and it has to be protected.
Crude oil. We should not.
Yeah.
I mean, we are the ones who actually import the crude oil and then send the finished product.
Right.
Why can't we do the same?
And here we are just sending the crude
oil,
whatever we have available.
And this is a, in fact, there are certain countries, in fact, the European Union and all, who, some has already banned the export of the black mass, and some are already at the discussion and the stakeholder consultation stages.
Right.
And soon we will see most of the countries they won't allow. But of course, industry at our end is not at fault for sure.
Right.
Because they need support to develop this. Right.
So should we have a policy, not rules, like policy something like?
We need to have the viability gap funding. One. Second thing is conducive environment and clear guidelines. Still about the EPR, no clear guideline is there. That whether somebody is going to get an EPR if they are doing up to the black mass, or they will only get the EPR if they are doing the salts, and salts also up to the battery grade or not. No clear guidelines. So one is the clarity. Second is clarity not only in terms of this policy, battery waste management rules and how the implementation, but also the clarity where they can put up the factory, which type of factory will get the licenses, what exact environmental norms they need to adhere to, not the vague one, but the very technically, your fumes are coming, this much. Particularly addressing this industry, not the general norms with the CPCB follows.
Right, right.
Particularly addressing, and government has to help them at this stage. And the important part is the gap funding, viability gap, so that this actually evolves. And in this, although I'm just diverging a little bit, is the battery passport, which, because finally you need to track and trace. What is there right now to track and trace? Just I'm importing, I'm putting up the data on the CPCB. And you know the funny part is when you put up the data on the CPCB, there is no track. First of all, from where that data is coming. Who is giving the data that in my cell NMC, this much is, this much is this chemical, this much is this chemical, this much is this. How you are expecting somebody to, I'm an importer, and even somebody who is sending it to me, why they will give me all the information? Nobody is going to give it to you. Even within the phone, the battery.
Right, right.
Even I won't name the best phone maker. You cannot find out that in two of their phones, the same type of the chemicals are going to come out. So if you are putting them in the recycling, whether the nickel, manganese and the cobalt or the lithium content is going to be the same. It might be different totally. And this is a practical experience. It tastes different.
Right. In my previous episode, I was discussing with Vikrant, and he said once you have the black mass and you're trying to extract, critical material out of it, you don't know per kg how much you are going to get. Every time it's different. So even the recycling technology has to be an innovative technology. So you can't have only one particular set of technology with equipments and expect that every time you're going to.
Because your inputs are changing. You don't have a consistent input.
Right.
As your input changes, but you need to get a consistent output.
Right.
You have to understand this. Because your lithium has to be of particular grade.
Right. But what I can conclude from this viewpoint, that recycling companies for metal extraction definitely need conducive environment.
For sure.
And supportive policy, which can be in terms of viability gap funding or some kind of a support. So that
monetary support.
Monetary
it has to be monetary
there
support.
There has to be a dedicated policy, not the rules.
Yes.
If we can say.
Yes.
Right? This
rules are there, the clarity of the implementation has to be there, the monetary support needs to be there. There are zones where you can put up the recycling facilities, but we need the plug and play zones. Boss, this is the total area wherein you come, you start your recycling facility. You need not to take a single approval when it comes to the CPCB, when it comes to the, You just go and give your project. This is what I'm going to put up. These are the things I'm going to put up only at the one place.
Right.
I'm not talking about the single window.
Right. I understand.
Single window application is a different thing. I'm talking about just at one place you go and submit. Once they approve, nobody should knock my door if I'm going to put up the facility there.
Right.
And that is not available.
I think this recommendation should be, taken very seriously at one front, maybe by industry players, so that they can push this.
In fact, I am actually interacting this with the government also.
Idea, and also by different ways, policymakers can, give it a thought and maybe go further deep dive. Randheerji, I was looking for battery safety related things and battery accident data, maybe battery fires data, which
2022 it was.
And globally, if you compare the global data with India, we can't say that more number of fires are happening in India. So it's happening everywhere, maybe. And also, if you compare with whether cars are more burning or the battery cars are more burning, then also there is a debate.
Yeah.
But still, there was a need to make batteries, charging infrastructure more safer. That is how AIS 156 came.
Right.
So, what was the overall objective of AIS 156, if you can briefly touch upon?
Sure.
And also, how it impacted? And maybe third question about how did OEMs find this very difficult and whether they should be given more time or your perspective around it?
So, if you remember in 2022, there were a lot of fires which happened. And it was across the different OEMs and across the different segments.
Right.
First of all, one thing we should know is that if one thing is bad and some new thing is coming, we say it is less better than that, so don't criticize it. That why I'm saying is this: since the ICE vehicles also get fire
Still, yes.
and then EVs are getting fire lesser in number compared to that per thousand.
Right.
Then we say don't criticize EVs because
It's
still
a
the
lesser
fire
number.
numbers. It shouldn't happen like this. You always need to ensure that if something is any harm, make it, if your hand, make it the most safer as far as possible. Right? Practically whatever is possible, make it the most safer. And that is what our objective was. So when in 2022 the lot of fires happened, in fact the top people in the government, everybody was worried.
Yes.
Because we are pushing so much, so much fiscal commitment has happened. Globally technology is moving, everything is moving, and we wanted to finally, and we have started actually seeing the inflection point of 5%. And then suddenly these fires happened. Everybody was like, I'm not going to touch it.
Yes.
So there has to be something to be done very fast, very effective, and the long term. And that's why the team was formed. AIS for the implementation. First of all, the framing of another standard. We had the 038. Within the 038 also the revision 2 was the one which was
Version
framed.
2, yes.
But within 156, the time period which we gave was only 4 months, right? From October we said everybody has to adhere to this, and the most critical part was the nail penetration test. That's where everybody was failing, and we said it has to be done on 100%. You have to do this, otherwise it's fail.
Right.
And although it was done partially with the consultation, but when it comes to the safety, we have to take the stringent measures.
Decisions, yes.
And that's why for the AIS 156, we took the stringent measure. Although we gave the time to the industry, not only because industry wasn't ready, some of our labs weren't ready. Because sudden volume, they also need the testing equipments and all. Their skill development of their people to actually test this and certify all of this. And there has to be no partiality. It cannot be first come first serve basis, right? Those who have access, they can reach faster. So that is why we gave the extension up to the April, and that's where almost most of the companies have actually adhered to it.
Very clear.
Many people came and they are like, please extend this also, but it wasn't extended. But that was the idea behind 156.
I think whenever there is any policy implementation, the industry anyway.
And this was particularly a standard.
More time. Yes. Going back to the battery swapping policy, because still there is one question which everyone asks, that battery swapping policy was put in the public domain as a draft, but it never came out as the final notification. And what I understood that, it started in 2019, and then a lot of consultation happened. Then ETD 51 committee, discussions happened. BIS was involved, and Niti Aayog was fully on it. And you followed a very robust process from
Yeah.
19 to 2022, and then the draft policy came. And one of the debating point was the standardization
Yes.
of the battery dimension,
Form
battery
factor.
weight, chemistry, or connectors, communication protocol. That makes it ideal in terms of the, and also this was one of the effort which nobody has done globally. This was the first time India was taking this initiative, and everybody was hoping a lot from this. And then when it I think you invited more than 10 15 companies, their dimensions, etc. And then there was a dimension tussle about favoring to some particular company, or but in Niti Aayog's view was that this scientifically it's something like that. So what was the challenge, Randheer ji, where it got struck, and is this going to come anytime soon?
Actually, very important, and this is something which people should know.
Yes.
How the battery swapping happened. So, before it came in the budget that year,
Yeah.
and when it wasn't that big a topic that should come in the budget, but we wanted to make battery swapping mainstream.
Right.
That's why we saw that budget also announced that incentive will be coming for this, the policy will be coming, and Niti Aayog was the one wherein I was leading to the battery swapping policy. It was a holistic development. We invited the several stakeholder consultations, technical consultations, and all. Several labs were involved, not only in India, abroad also, and finally we had come out with the world's first battery swapping draft policy. You know, in the beginning of this interview, I said there is something called individual good and there is something greater
Common
good.
good, greater good.
As a policymakers or as the people who actually can impact the future of the country, who can actually impact the future of technology adoption in this country, the behavioral change and all, we need to think what is the best suitable in the long term.
Right.
Let's assume a scenario, and then I'll come how these four standards were made. Let's assume a scenario wherein the battery swapping is implemented. We have four different people. You have your own company, your own form factor, battery dimensions, your own technology, but you don't have your vehicle. Vehicle is of somebody else, right? I'm a consumer. I buy that vehicle and then I come to you. Can you put your battery in my, because I'm buying the vehicle without battery, and there's no gasoline engine, so it has to be battery powered. I ask you, please give me the battery. You're like, okay, I have a collaboration with this vehicle manufacturer, so its dimensions actually fits my battery, so I can give you my battery. Plus the connector is also mine. So my connector actually fits in, it talks to it. Communication protocol is mine, so it will talk to the vehicle ECU, and that's how it will work. And you are living, let's say, in Noida. Tomorrow you decides, or because of some your job profile or whatever, you move to the Gurgaon. What if this battery swapping provider doesn't have a facility there? What you will do of your vehicle? You will come for the battery swapping to this part. What if this doesn't?
Not possible.
But somebody else is there. Now you want to say, because you bought the vehicle, you never bought the battery, by the way. Battery was always on the lease, right? You are just swapping it on the station. It's like the fuel. Now you go to the Gurgaon and you are like, my vehicle doesn't have a battery, because the battery provider whose battery actually fits in my vehicle is not available here. If he is available, this is one scenario. Second, let's say he is available, but the cost at which the swapping is being provided there is not feasible to you, and or you don't agree with it, and somebody else is providing at a lower cost. It's like the the mobile services. You should have the flexibility to switch. That is what the interoperability is. If for the consumer, but it's a loss to the company, because he has lost they have lost a customer. So as a company, I want that my particular technology, my particular form factor cannot be used anywhere else. It has to be, the consumer has to stuck with me. But on a larger good, and also from the citizen perspective, they want that flexibility. Boss, whomsoever provides me the better tech at the minimum cost, or the cost which is required to me, which is affordable to me. or which I want, I will switch to him. I should have that flexibility.
Right.
I am the owner of this vehicle, not somebody else.
Right.
Right?
Who can decide?
Who
on
can
my
decide?
behalf?
So that's where the ball got stuck, and we within the government there was a team and all. DST secretary was the chairman. I was the part of this. Academicians are there. It's a top-notch. The committee was there, and that's where we decided 4 standards will come out. One is for the communication protocol, safety, form factor. So and the connectors also.
Right.
So we advised and we took the connectors of every company. We asked them, please give us the connectors, send us your connector. Then we tested it in the best labs in our country. The connector which stood the best, the maximum number of cycles with them, and also the manufacturability. That once this, and they should be ready to open the connectors also, by the way.
Right.
Because everybody should be able to get this connector from the market. It should be commoditized. And that's how the connector was also fixed. So those who have submitted, and somebody's connector has to win, right?
Yeah.
And finally, and also you fix the battery dimensions.
Yes.
On the basis of the packing, the best possible packing. So the cells from, let's say, 0.8 kilowatt hour to 1 kilowatt hour, 1.2 kilowatt hour should fix into this with a different form factors, cylindrical, prismatic or pouch. So that's how you arrive at a maximum possible form factor, because you cannot have so much big battery,
Right.
because it's like a real estate in the two-wheelers, right? The space is real estate, and this much packing has to. That's how the form factor was done in consultation with the industry. In consultation with the industry, and industry participated.
Right.
All the people who later on went against this, everyone participated,
those
everyone
consultations.
submitted their connectors, just because their connector could not win.
Yeah.
One connector has to win who will withstand, and
Yeah.
and the manufacturability should be there, cost should be there, and the utility should be there, the cycle life should be there. That's how everything was zeroed on. So what, and that's where one company says, so not everything was of one company, but it came closer to, because they only submitted, right?
Right.
And similarly the dimensions were fixed, which were
Right.
closer to some of the people, but not exactly them.
18, 16, 31, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes.
But everybody else,
Mm.
but who lost in this finally? Who lost in this? So
Consumer.
what we said is, it's fine. So there's an organization which was formed and all of this people
Right.
who were opposing it. We told to organization,
Mm.
all of you members, you talk among themselves. You tell us what dimensions you want.
Right.
But
you
this-
take a decision.
You take a decision.
Yeah.
You tell us what connector you want. We'll get it tested and everything is different. But you tell us from the industry perspective, okay, what this is the one which we have agreed. Please, you can go ahead and do this, because this is required for the consumer perspective.
Right. The consumer, is
Consumer
only
should not
losing.
suffer.
Yeah.
Well, he's a naive guy. He doesn't understand all these technicalities.
Right.
He should not get stuck with one person for the lifetime. He's investing his money in the two-wheeler, and he's like, what government is doing for me? I am stuck with this guy.
Right.
Today, let's say this company has, all of them are startup.
Right.
Almost. in fact,
Almost all of them, yes.
What if tomorrow they shut up the shop?
Right.
Where this guy will go with this, with his vehicle? You cannot fit any other battery inside this. Even if you fit the battery, what about the connector?
Understood.
What about the communication protocol?
Yeah.
So that is where all this issue happens.
I think yes, which means it's going to take much more time than what I was thinking, and whether it is going to come or not is a good.
And
is a
why
good
that was
question.
the right time for this is because more these people invest, more it will become difficult for them to switch.
To switch, yes, which is happening.
And
right with
more it
time
will be detrimental for the consumer.
for the consumer and for
Because the penetration has
standardization.
happened.
Yes.
Now what those consumers will do?
Yeah. Yes. Now, last section of the podcast, Randheer ji. First of all, thank you very much for all the talks till now. You have moved from industry to government, and then you have your own venture, Forsee Advisors. I just wanted to know a little more about your company and what is the vision of the company, right? If you have you have been at leading roles in the top organizations, then experience in government, and then also your own company. So there has to be some vision which you're trying to maybe create something different or some different work. So what is that, and I mean, what is your focus areas?
This is something which I always wanted to do, to have something of my own. But after Niti Aayog and doing this stint there and having so much experience in the industry, my vision is very clear that this is niche industry. A lot of support is required.
Yeah.
Not only at the government level, but at the industry level also.
Yes.
And one most important thing is the transition. That is where they need somebody's hand holding. That somebody should come and tell them, let's say I'm an MSME guy,
Right.
I have a money and I'm producing a particular auto component. But tomorrow that auto component is not going to continue
Yeah.
because industry is moving towards the EV.
Right.
But I want somebody's help who can actually tell me what should I do, how should I do, and also get it done for me.
That
And
is more important.
That is my vision.
That is more important.
So
Yes.
that's what I'm doing here also. I'm not only, when they come to me, I'll give you an example. So one, listed company, they came to me and they are the owner of the listed company. He's like, रणधीर पैसा तो बहुत है पर अब हमको स्विच करना है, यंगर जनरेशन कुछ नया करना चाहता है. You tell me how should we do this and what should we do? We did analyzed and everything. Then we zeroed on few things. Then they took the decision. Okay, this is something which we want to do. We have a potential in this. Scaling can be done. So technology identification, all those things we did. Land identification, which states policies are right for them. Coordination with them, got it done. The partnerships we have got it done. Then finally the go-to-market document, P&L, everything, those things were there. And then finally putting up the machinery there, helping them and hiring the right talent. And finally the output, which matches with our, the initial. So this is what the type of work I envisage. And this we are doing. In the recycling we are doing. In the new product development, in the EVs we are doing, the two-wheeler and the commercial vehicle side we have done the projects. And one most important key, as a CFO, the finance is very close to me. I think I can take the name also with the Shriram Green Finance. So Shriram Finance also wanted to do something like this, and therein we did the business case for the Shriram Green Finance. And now this company is there. Shriram Green Finance vertical is there, launched in Bangalore last December, and they are doing extremely good. And they are focusing on the green financing, and they are very, very good. Already, I mean, they are doing very, very big number. So that is also the one area wherein I wanted. And without financing, adoption doesn't happen.
Right.
Even at the charging level, even at the two-wheeler, four-wheeler, or the commercial vehicle level. So that is also the one area where I wanted to work. And then lastly, the government. So I'm doing some research projects, some primary research projects.
Right.
In fact, the HTVs which I have released in the public domain.
It's not available anywhere else in public domain.
So I also wanted, so this will actually give a clue to the companies who want to enter into this field.
Yes.
That boss, this is the big gap. This particular part is not localized.
Right.
But this particular part has so much market potential.
Right.
Why can't I enter here?
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to deep dive, that we can provide. But the idea is to give this clarity. In fact, somebody at a very high position in government, when I sent this to him, he said, this is something which we always needed.
Yeah, even
we should know where the localization is, where the industry stands, but what is the potential?
Yeah, very important question.
Right. So I'm working with, on some of the projects directly, or in some case, in most of the cases, indirectly with the government. There is always somebody who is doing the work for them, helping them in not only at the policy, but the research, primary and the secondary also.
Right.
So the vision is basically not only the adoption, but also helping the companies to transition, and also in the process, develop the organization, make it big in this. Yeah.
Congratulations, and wish you all the very, very best. And thank you very much for joining the show. I think I would have liked to, keep discussing for hours and hours, but we have to limit the discussion today. Thank you very much. So, today what we discussed, I think, is mostly not available. As Randheer ji also said that the report which he has put in the public domain, most of the things are not available. So that was the reason why he decided to work on it. And in this episode also, we have identified the nitty-gritties about policy making in India, and going deeper and understanding what are the issues, challenges, choices, and how the decision making happens when there is a policy, and why it has to be focused on the larger or the common good for the people of India. That's why you can see some of the reservations for some particular stakeholders also, but the focus has to be on the common good. Then we went and understood in detail about the PLI for ACC, battery swapping policy draft, safety regulations, and some of the other regulations as well. I hope you like and enjoy watching this episode, and it's a great learning for you. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for more episodes. Thank you very much.